Hey, stop what you're doing right now for just a moment. And I want to invite you to just drop down into your inner being. Can you feel that? Can you feel this urge or this longing to connect with your soul's purpose? Well, that's what this episode is all about as I welcome on the founder of Wisdom from North, Jannecke. Jannecke just loves helping people to connect with their soul purpose. So stay tuned. Hello, and welcome to the Charmed Life podcast. This podcast is all about magic, metaphysics, mysticism, and the unconditional love of the universe. And I am your host. My name is Tricia Carr. Welcome to this episode. I'm really excited to connect with you and actually a dear friend of mine, Jannecke. We have been collaborating off and on for several years. This is probably her third, maybe her fourth appearance on the podcast. Jannecke is the founder of Wisdom from North, a YouTube channel on spirituality and an online membership dedicated to spiritual investigation and education. Jannecke has more than 7 million views on YouTube. 7 million views, don't lie. It's good stuff. Jannecke has interviewed many international teachers like Byron Katie, Dr. Eben Alexander, Gregg Braden, Bruce Lipton, and I've been on there a couple times. If I can, you know, be so bold as to put myself in that list. And so when Jannecke founded Wisdom from North, there were actually very few others on YouTube who were teaching in spirituality on YouTube. Now it's like, wow, it's really expanded. And I credit Jannecke for how that expansion has occurred. She was one of the pioneers behind the wave of spirituality and life changes, all of these things that we see today. Jannecke is especially passionate when it comes to talking about the importance of self-love and to seek your own mission in life. And in many ways, she lost her voice to find that deeper inner voice within. So welcome to the show, Jannecke. Thanks for being on again.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And wow, you have like the most beautiful introduction. I
Oh,
get so, yeah. No, thank you so much.
it's you. What do you mean? It's all you.
Yeah.
Self-love. I love that you're receiving the self-love from yourself, but thank you for
uh,
that.
it's so nice being back. And I remember you interviewed me way back when, like invited me to your show. And I was like, oh, wow, does she want to interview me? And I was so excited. And now,
Mm,
like, here we are, and we're still doing this.
we are. I think it was probably in 2017. I have to go back and look. But is that what you think it was when we first connected? I invited you on my podcast first, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I was
Uh-huh.
very excited, and you were American having this big show, and I was
Oh,
like, "Oh."
it's nice that somebody likes an American. I don't
Yeah,
feel so
I
great about
do.
us sometimes. No, I'm kidding. I love us. We're all great.
I've studied in America, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like a close relationship to
Mhm.
Americans actually, since I've lived there, and I had a dream of actually living there, but it didn't happen. I
Oh.
think the universe had other plans for me.
Yeah. Well, I
Mm.
have a dream of living in a lot of places, including the beautiful where you live is so, so beautiful. So, maybe it's one of these other lives that will do that, right?
Yeah.
Well, those of you who are joining live, thank you for saying hello, Gwen, and hi to Debbie. Nice to see you. Debbie loves Wisdom from North. Yes, wonderful.
Mm.
And thank you so much for being here. Go ahead and drop us a hello. And as we go along in the conversation, if you have any questions or comments, anything you'd like to share or ask, we would love to connect with you. So, Jannecke, wow, everything that you have done. As you said, as I said about you, you lost your voice at one time and found your true inner voice. And we are talking about the soul's purpose and that life's mission. I don't know where to start because you've really been on your life's mission, and it is a journey, right? It keeps showing up in different ways. We keep feeling like we're having that renaissance or that awakening with it, and the platform that you have created. I want to hear all about what your work is showing today, what your mission is about today. Would you like to tell us what's going on with everything?
Yeah, yeah, I have a clear mission. Or we in the company, which is my passion, is to help people in spiritual awakening to really go for their mission, to step into it, and to radiate self love and to share their unique gifts with the world. Because I really believe that, especially light workers and people who have this calling, people who are in awakening, they have a huge mission. And it's not to say that other people don't have a mission. I'm not meaning that, but I believe that they have a mission to help more people awaken. And that's why I feel it's so crucial that we say yes to this calling. And it could be in so many different ways. Now, we're both spiritual and we have a spiritual perspective on things. And I assume that you guys who are watching also have that. But working sort of for the awakening or helping the ascension process or the shift in consciousness or help people awakening, it doesn't have to be like in a spiritual job. It could
Right.
be, other things that just comes from your heart, helping people realize their true potential. Uh, yeah, I remember there was this woman who was a psychic and she thought she needed to work as a psychic to sort of contribute. But then she realized, I don't have to do that. And she ended up being a photographer, creating these amazing photos that is so fairy tale-ish. And when she
Mm,
realized that, she just felt that she was opening up to her true gifts. So we all have gifts. We're all born with certain gifts. And I think in the Western society, especially in Scandinavia, it's a bit sad because it's like we're putting everybody in the similar classroom and we're all going to learn the same thing and we're evaluated from the same stuff and we're going to just become similar. It seems like that's the goal
right.
instead of cultivating each other's gifts, like the individual person's gifts, so they can grow. Because then we just feel mediocre.
Mm,
And when I was little, I thought it was all about performing all the time and getting that acknowledgement from the adults and from the society. I was so driven from that, motivated from the outside, because that was what I was taught. So it's almost like you need to unlearn all these things in order to wake up. It's such a powerful word. Wake up to your inner powers. Waking up to that you and many of us, me especially, have given our power away to
mm,
all sorts of people and things and structures. And the work is a lot about taking that power back and then start to share your gifts. And like I said, we all have these gifts. And just to give you some hints, it's all about that joy.
yeah.
This is, of course, from my perspective. I'm not saying that's the truth, but from my journey, I've come to that it's all about coming back to what brings you joy. And if we don't know what brings us joy, go back to your childhood. Speak to your
Exactly.
parents. Ask those who were around you when you were a child, because I bet that you were passionate about something when you were young, and that's a clue.
Can I share? I talk about that too, and
Mm.
w one I have a cassette tape from 1984, cassette tape, and for it was Christmas 1984, and I got a tape recorder for Christmas, and I walked around the house on Christmas Day and interviewed all of my family.
Oh, that's so
I
cute.
have a podcast where I do interview people, that's, like, one of the things,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, isn't that and that's just one of the things, but all of the other things I can see in my childhood too, but it's kind of, like,
Yeah.
so on the nose, like, your
Yeah.
soul knows, and you know it as a child, and as you said, there's, like,
Mm.
this conditioning that we all go through, it's the sense of moving away from it, but then the empowering journey of hearing that calling again from within and moving back into the alignment of it, then that's the rest of it after we turn after we become adults, the rest of the time coming back to it, but it's fun if we view it from that perspective of
Mm.
reconnecting and coaxing, teasing up that joy that is just there for us. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's part of being here. It's sort of a paradox, and there's so
Mm,
many spiritual paradoxes also. But it is part of the paradox that we come here and I believe that we're born with 100% joy,
absolutely.
100% self-love, and
Mhm.
then life happens, and then we need to find it again. And then life is about coming back to that. Isn't that funny?
Well, in that sense, if we have this illusion of losing it, then when we come back to it, we actually got to have the experience of creating it, of actually,
Mm,
because we can continue to have it lost, we can continue to say no to it or to not say yes to finding it. So when we say yes to finding it and when we pursue it, then we have this we're in the seat right next to God creating, joy,
yeah.
actually creating joy. And it's an expansive then experience for ourselves, which is the expansion of the universe as well. Our expansion is the expansion of the universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is something you're passionate about, you're talking about the inner joy, the inner love, the self-love. Lately, Spirit has been saying over and over in my lessons that the language of the higher self is self-love,
Mm,
and we're actually taught the opposite, right? We're conditioned to give ourselves an inner critic in order to be
mm,
properly motivated to do,
mm.
right? Instead of to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like we talked about, it is sort of the that is what is fascinating to me. That in one way we're saying just be yourself,
Mhm.
but in another way, if I am myself, I am blaming myself, I'm criticizing myself, I am being triggered.
Yeah.
I want to train myself to not do that because that feels natural, because then I'm not awake. That is the autopilot.
Mhm.
Coming back to that pureness, whoa, that takes a lot of work. So being yourself doesn't mean just, not being aware and just going on the autopilot. It
Mm.
really means to become really conscious and stop for a moment and ask yourself, like, what are the thoughts in my head? What am I saying to myself every time I look in the mirror? And
Mhm.
when I'm triggered by something, am I judging the other person? Because then I'm really judging myself. How can I judge myself less? Why am I judging myself? So we start to train ourselves to first notice and become aware of the narrator in our heads. Okay,
Mhm.
so I have a narrator, and that is what many calls the ego. What is the ego? Should I judge that? No, I shouldn't judge that either, because that is just trying to protect me. That is part of being a human. It keeps me alive. The ego just wants to keep you alive, because if I would go into the street and just feel one with everything, I could be hit by a car, and I could go into, the woods, and there could be an animal that I need to get away from. So the ego just wants you to survive. And whenever you are confronting it, or challenging it,
Yeah.
challenging status quo, then it's like, oh, no, don't go there. Danger, danger. So the ego actually holds us down. And then society does the same, because we meet other people who also are kept down by their egos. So that's the ego game and the mirror game. Like, we're mirroring each other. So if other people are triggered by you starting to shine your light, it's because they don't dare to shine their light, because
Mhm.
they want to fit in, because they want to survive. And here we go.
Round and round.
Round and round. So it does take courage being your
Mhm. Yeah.
authentic self. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage loving yourself. However, that is the truth of who you are. Like, speaking negatively towards ourselves is actually speaking negatively to creation and
Mhm.
God,
Yeah.
because I believe that we are God, you are God, I am God. Or we can call it the universe or source or all there is. It doesn't really matter what we call it. Just call it something you're comfortable with. But we are the same as that creator and source. So you are loved, you are love. So it actually does not make sense not to love ourselves.
Right.
It's a game we play. And when we wake up from that, we start to feel that enormous power. And it is like Marianne Williamson said, that it's not the fear of not being good enough or being inadequate. It's the fear of the opposite, that our light is
Mm.
so huge. That's actually what we're afraid of. And I was thinking of it the other day because I have had a life where I've been longing so much for my private life to fall into place. And somehow it took me such a long time to find love, to have enough money to get by, to have my career going. Like, I've been a musical theater artist, like a starving actor. I ended up with all these narcissists. I had eating disorder. It was just so many things that were not in place. And things took such a long time. And all of a sudden, last year, it just all fell in place.
Amazing. I got chills.
Yeah, I feel like I've been waiting a long time, but there, my soulmate was, and we moved into this beautiful apartment. I have my own studio, I have my own background. Wisdom from North is just going so well. I'm having so much fun. And then I was thinking, okay, but now I can't ask for more. And
I
then I
know,
was like,
right?
what thought is that?
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm greedy, but it is that habit of thinking, now I should be content.
Right, lack.
But
Like, I need to believe in lack. That's enough. That's enough now, young
right.
lady. That's enough, happy young lady.
Right. Yes, yes. But then I realized that's not the truth. Remember, that's just the default that
Mhm.
my ego wants to go to because it's almost too much happiness right now. Can I hold that much happiness? Can I become even more happy?
Yeah,
So that's where I am right now.
good.
And I think since I've experienced so much depression and darkness, I am also able to hold more light now.
Yes.
I think if I wouldn't, it could become too much almost because, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the depression that I had in my 20s, I haven't talked about here that today, but I was in a dark, dark place. That has made me very grounded.
Mm.
So when I
Mhm.
do feel this happiness and this love, I know that I deserve it. I know we
Mm.
all deserve it. I know that it's meant to be, and
Mhm.
that's, yeah, it's self love for me to embrace that.
So beautiful. And those dark times, like the depression, when it grounds you and it helps us to have compassion for others who might be in their different places where the happiness quotient is lower and
Yeah,
the self-love is less present. It's yeah, it is just that, it's the journey, it's beautiful, all of it is sweet, all of it is beautiful. When we find that calibration back to love, which is, of course, inner self-love fundamentally, and then that expands out to being able to love everyone, then we recognize that love is so strong, love is so powerful, love is so absolute and perfect that love on this point of the timeline in 2024 makes the the thing that happened in, 2001 the right thing to have happened. The depression that I
mm,
had in 2000 is corrected on this point of the timeline. Love can make that the right thing that happened.
mm,
Even though, of course, we recognize in this, human perspective, that sucked, and I don't wish that on
mm,
anyone, but I'm grateful for it. Love is
mm.
that powerful. It makes the wrong thing that happened the right thing that happened when you're able to connect with it. Does that make sense? It's a paradox again, right? Paradox. That's what we talked about when I recently was on your on your podcast or on your channel. We're talking about
Yeah.
paradox. It is, and that's actually what we talked about. Some people who are like Tracy, say hi to Tracy. Last night's class in Astral Mastery was all about paradox.
Yeah, there's a lot of paradoxes, like,
Mhm.
how you manifest and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There are different teachings on it. And I find that interesting, being a host and you're a host, and sometimes interviewing spiritual teachers with different approaches. And to me, I've come to feel that that is not a problem. Like, I used to think that's a problem because I
Mhm.
used to look for the truth and the solution.
Yeah.
But now, that's sort of just part of everything.
Yeah.
And it's all part of different perspectives. So it depends on what kind of angle you're watching something from.
Mhm.
From one angle, it could be negative. From another perspective, is positive, and what is positive and what is negative. It depends on all these perspectives and where you're watching from. And the
Mhm.
higher you're watching it from, watching, the more it makes sense, all
Yeah.
of it. But I do think we have such a limited mind, so it doesn't always make sense to us as humans.
Have you ever heard that parable of the 3 blind men and the
Oh, yeah.
elephant? Yes, yeah. It's the best. Just in case someone hasn't heard it, I'll share it. There are
Yeah.
3 blind men, and they're placed in front of an elephant. They've never experienced an elephant before, and one blind man reaches his hand out. He's on the side of the elephant, and he says, "Oh, an elephant is like a wall of leather." And then another blind man is at the back of the elephant, and he reaches out and touches his tail and says, "Oh, an elephant is like a cord, like a rope." And then blind man in the front touches the trunk and says, "Oh, an elephant is like a water hose." And so, of course, that's what we are. We're all blind in our limited perspective in that moment. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to hear how you were sharing how you think about those. Well, first of all, having a limiting thought show up when you're having this great celebration of life and happiness right now. And when those limiting thoughts, those old beliefs, you know, what I think that sometimes we overdo it. We think we're so worried about them. And we, the really, I think the thing is, when we just don't believe in it, we recognize it as you shared, you recognized it, and then we just choose not to believe it. Then we kind of can self correct, we can course correct. And so, what are some of your practices to help to continue to move into your mission and to continue to move in to more happiness, holding more of your own light, radiating more of your own light? What are some of the things
Mm.
that really create that valuable resonance for you, if you would like to share?
Yeah, I do meditation each
Mhm.
morning, and I have some visualizations where I actually like guided visualizations with
Mhm.
some other teachers than myself,
Yeah.
where I listen to the grandness of me and my possibilities. So really, it's like these abundance meditations,
Mhm.
because I do find, like you're saying, that my default is limiting. My default is limiting. And I
Yeah.
think that's a common for all of us. Like Marissa Peers is talking about that I am not enough
Mhm.
sickness or
Yeah.
syndrome, or she's
Mhm.
calling it something like that. So we all have that, and we need to reprogram our minds. I
Yeah.
really believe in that. Bruce Lipton, he talks about that a lot. He's a stem cell biologist, and I interviewed him many years ago on my channel. And he says that from we are 0 to 7-ish, we are like record machines, and that's
Mhm.
where we are programmed. So we've spoken about that today. So we need to reprogram a lot until that is the new default, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And I don't feel like I'm totally there. I feel like it's really a work in progress.
Always, right?
Yeah, and especially if you are vulnerable,
Mhm.
have something is not going your way, maybe your period is coming,
Mhm.
you're hormonal. I can find myself falling back to
Yeah.
old beliefs, and sometimes I'm just having a really bad day,
Yeah.
and I can't explain why, and that puzzles me. And
Mhm.
I've actually asked some of my guests who channel
Mhm.
different higher evolved beings, like, what is that about? I'm not having my period. There's no reason why I should be down, but I just feel so heavy.
Mhm.
And I believe that sensitive people, like many of us, we can feel the collective,
Yeah.
and we can also have thought forms that are
Mhm.
lingering.
Mhm.
It could be other entities. It could be that we are just tapping into some negativity, or it could be so many things. It could be things from our past lives or parallel lives or future lives. It could be something we need to feel. Maybe the inner child who is like, oh, that's a wound that's
Mhm.
all of a sudden coming up, and it needs to be felt. So I've come to that. I don't need to understand
Mhm.
always what is happening, or I know what is happening, but why is it happening?
Yeah.
I practice just allowing it to happen. Okay, so I'm there.
Mhm.
I know that this is an inner state that will change. And
Mhm.
I taught myself that during the depression in
Mhm.
my 20s. That's like 24 years ago. That, okay, this is a state of being that I'm in now. That doesn't mean that I'll always feel like this. It's just a state of being that is present right now. And that has really helped me because my mind wants me to believe that this is how it's going to be forever.
Mm.
This is my state
Mhm.
of mind always. No,
Yeah.
it's not. It's just right now. And it could change all of a sudden.
Mhm.
Like I can watch Friends and then start laughing. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's sun again. Like
Yeah.
that can happen. And
Yeah.
that happens to me a lot, that
Mhm.
all of a sudden it's like a cloud that just disappears.
Yeah.
So it's my work is a lot about awareness, observation.
Mhm.
But I'm not saying that it's not hard, because sometimes it is really hard and it's not fun to have those heavy days.
Mhm.
But I think it's part of being human,
Mhm.
part of the human experience to also feel the darkness, because when you then feel the light, it's just like, oh my goodness, there I'm back again. But it is that, it's something about experiencing it. I
Mhm.
think there's a gift in that, and that we don't really have to understand what the gift is. Maybe we'll get that when we die, when we pass over to the other side. So back to the practice, I do have meditations, I do affirmations. I have a practice, so every time I look at myself in the mirror, to say nice things, even though
Oh, good.
sometimes I'm like, oh, oh. But I'm like, okay, so your hair is a bit like, or you look a bit tired, but I love you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is going to be an exciting day. And even though you don't feel like shooting a video right now, you know, you're making a difference for people.
Mm.
So, like, I'm
Mhm.
coaching myself like that.
Yes. Mhm.
So, that's part of it.
That's beautiful. That's wonderful. And, I love how you're saying we don't need to go too much to investigate. I mean, sometimes we do recognize, oh, well, I'm feeling this way because of this thing.
Hmm.
Sometimes it shows up, but we don't need to solve that part of it. We can just hold space for ourselves, coach ourselves, love ourselves. Or, yeah, you can just raise your vibration in a different way, like watching a fun show, like Friends or something,
Hmm.
and then come back to it. What it's kind of honestly, sometimes it can be just the weather. Because when the
Yeah.
weather, like when we
Yeah.
don't have as much sunlight, that's like one of the things it could be, something very natural. When there's not as much sunlight, then we can, you know, it is the attitude, the mood can
Hmm.
shift. And so if there's not as much light on the outside, the opportunity could be that we wanna turn on more light from the inside, and then there we are in that co-creation again. When we
Hmm.
have the dark, and like you said, we have the dark moment or day or decade, God forbid, but
Yeah.
and then we come back to that higher vibe or that light that we feel. We always feel the growth, right? Like when you're back here again in the light, like you said, you go, "Oh, there I am." We feel grow.
Yeah.
We feel like we grew a little bit. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that it's there. It's just the reminding ourselves, and it's somehow we do forget every time, right? Well, sometimes
Yes.
we're a little faster at remembering, but there's at least a moment where like you said, "Oh, this is how it is forever."
It's a default again, and that's why it's practice all
Mhm.
the time
Yeah.
until we get better and better. But it's just so funny because when we are toddlers,
Mhm.
we don't give up on walking, right? We
Right.
don't give
Mhm.
up. We all made it.
Yeah.
But as adults, we're like, oh, I've done affirmations for 1 week and it doesn't work.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
like we need to continue the practice, and
Mhm.
however way you can find the motivation to do that, because your mind wants to trick you out of practicing. It'll find all the reasons not to,
Mhm.
and it is difficult and challenging. But again, I am hearing myself saying it's difficult and challenging, and then it becomes difficult and challenging. So it's something about also saying that this is easy, this is easy. So it is like the power of the mind. We are such powerful creators. It's just so fascinating when I'm thinking about a thing and it pops up. Now, I do believe, I'm moving over to another topic. I
Great,
do
good.
believe that, our iPhones are listening to us and stuff like that. However, sometimes I do think about something and then I go on YouTube and that topic or that person shows up.
Yeah,
And then I'm
yeah.
like, I don't think they are hacking my mind
Right,
yet.
no, I don't think they can do that yet. No, you're right. I know what you mean, and I do that because, yeah, it's not even a belief that our phones are listening to it. They just literally do that.
Yeah.
That's a part of the whole function of it. But it's so funny that you bring that up because lately I've been doing that. I was like, "Wait, did I talk to my husband about this?"
Yeah.
No, I just thought about it this morning and I was all by myself and I didn't say it out loud and
I
totally happening.
know.
Yeah.
I know. And that happens so much. And it's so magical when we start to notice that. Yeah. And then you get those confirmations that, whoa, I do create my own reality. Or
Mhm.
I believe that we co-create our
Yeah,
reality together
absolutely.
with the universe because we are the universe.
Mhm. I had this happened just day before yesterday. I was in the bathroom getting dressed, like, doing my hair and stuff, and I suddenly started remembering something from, like, probably 3 months ago. It was, like, a friend I donated to a GoFundMe for something special for my friend's husband. Actually, it was a former client, but anyway, and I donated to this GoFundMe, and he wrote a personalized note. I didn't even know this person. He was very nice, and he was like, "Thank you so much for that." And my wife said that because I think I donated $22, and he said, "My wife said that that's like a magical number that you donated because she's a spiritual person." He's like, "So thank you." And anyway, I'm doing my hair, and I suddenly started thinking about this email from this person. Who it was very
Yeah.
sweet, and I thought, "Oh shoot." Did I respond to that? Maybe I need to respond. Okay, as soon as I can, I'm gonna go sit down. I'm gonna respond to it, or I'll check if I responded to it. Maybe I did. 5 minutes later, he emailed everybody on the GoFundMe list. So again, like, that wasn't me. That was the telepathy that we have. I was
Yeah.
feeling him reaching out to all of us and feeling that beautiful resonance that, well, he and his wife created by this GoFundMe experience, and so when that happened, I was like, again, like, that's so awesome. And in a way, that's kind of a mundane thing, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's
Mm.
magical in a lot of ways, but
Mm.
also it's not like, "Oh, I got the lottery numbers," or something that we think is more important. But I was, like, really touched that I had that experience, all private little experience. I'm sharing it now, it's not private anymore. And Spirit said to me, my guide said to me, "You see, you think that's mundane. You're that
Mm.
tapped in. Just know that you're tapped in for the things you think are important too. So
Ah.
relax." you know?
Right, right. Yeah, that's true. We tend
Mhm,
to think that why do I get the small things? Like why does that pan out in a way like with my intuition, but I'm not
mhm.
getting the big things? Maybe warnings or stuff like that. Maybe you get a warning about the small thing, but then not the big things. But I believe there's a reason with
Yeah,
everything.
because it's
Mm.
good for us to experience all of the things. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you are having you talked about you have your love life and your partnership, and I know you have a new doggy love
Yeah.
too. Your new partnership came with a family already in place with the dog, which is awesome. Wisdom from North is just really expanding. The channel is thriving more than ever, and tell everyone about the educational piece, the platform of Wisdom from North. I've had the honor of being
Mm.
on it a couple of times. Let everyone know about it, and I'm going to make sure that there's a link in the description, but there's a link in the chat right now. So tell us about Wisdom from North, the actual education part.
Yeah, thank you for the possibility. Yeah, because I have been doing interviews and podcast episodes ever since 2012 on Wisdom from North on YouTube. And I came to a point where I felt like I'm inspiring people, but people are not having a transformation. And I
Mm.
really wanted people to have that transformation that I had from going from like this depressed woman in this victim mentality, thinking she was nothing to all of a sudden go for dreams and change your life. And I've always wanted to help people who might feel that same or just feel like they're holding themselves back because I know the potential. Like if I can do it, anybody can do it. And we're meant for so much more. And we don't have too many teachers speaking about that, or we didn't.
Mhm.
At least now it's growing.
Yeah.
People are awakening all over the place. So I have a membership. So it started with me creating a membership that I had missed myself, because I felt that I needed to find all the knowledge myself and find meditations and help and guidance and teachings. And I went all over the place. And sometimes I found teachers that were disempowering, because there's a lot of stuff out
Sure.
there.
Yeah.
There are teachers who like, there's only one way and that's my way. Um, and I, have made my mistakes with that, being burned by that. So I wanted to create a place that was really safe, where I could have teachers that were heart centered, that had also transformed their lives, so they knew what they were speaking about, and a warm community where people could help each other. So that's really what the membership was created, or how it was created. It's sort of a spiritual Netflix, and you'll get all these access to all these master classes with different transformational teachers that I have handpicked from my YouTube channel that I wanted to work more with. And then I invited them to teach on this platform. And you have 2 classes there, really beautiful class. One class about the magical signs in nature that we
Yes.
can receive, and spirit
Uh-huh.
animals, and the
Yeah.
other one about self-hypnosis.
Mhm.
And so it's really, like, I'm really proud of it, because people are learning so much there.
Yeah.
And our framework in Wisdom from North is that you go through a journey,
Mhm.
and that we have different phases that we go through. And it starts with the awakening, actually, that we wake up to, woo, I'm maybe not in the right place in life. I
Mhm.
want more. I think there's more to me. That's where you start to ask
Yeah.
some questions. And then you move over to awareness and transformation, and finally empowerment, where you stand in your power and you go for your dreams and your passions. So in relation to what phase you're in, you can watch different master classes. So we have sort of designed that journey for you. So, for instance, if you are in the awakening phase, you can watch a masterclass about the ascension process. Um, yeah, so you can really find something that fits your face, or you can just go in there and be inspired, and listen to your intuition and just watch a class that you need right now. And we have all sorts of different topics, and we also have tons of guided meditations, because I know how important it is to practice. So we have around like 60 plus different meditations, guided meditations on all sorts of different topics, like angels, ETs, find your answers within, spirit communication, how to do this, how to do that. So it's a beautiful community. I love it myself, because I learned so much. Like in May, we had a class about how to channel. So one of the guests on my YouTube channel, he became a masterclass teacher, and he taught us how to channel. And I think it's so important to, have teachers that are the real deal.
Yeah.
And that is so important to me. So I really handpick those teachers that I know is the real deal, that I resonate with.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, if you do want a spiritual development, and you want to evolve and have a community, you can always check out our membership. And we also have online courses and stuff like that, but the membership is like really close to my heart.
And
Mm.
you also there are opportunities with the teachers to actually have a live Q&A as well, right? With these
Yes.
master classes, 'cause I know I've gotten to do that, which is so fun. We go up and
Yeah.
we have the people participating there asking questions, and it's really another just like juicy experience to be able to witness one another having those questions answered right there. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most popular thing, that people or our members can ask direct
Mhm.
questions to the teachers, because we have teachers who are pretty expensive one-on-one, and then they get access directly to that teacher. And we learn so much from these sessions, because I feel like our members are really engaged in the spiritual journey, and I learn a lot. The teacher have fun, so it just feels so meaningful to do that.
And thank you so much for
Mm.
creating it. It's so valuable. And like you're so involved within it. Like you said, you handpick them. I mean, there are other platforms out there, and I'm not going to name any, but they maybe are not as curated, as specifically curated. And there's probably not the opportunity for a community. It just has like so much. And so thank you for
Thank
creating
you.
that and everything that you're creating on our beautiful world. It's really so amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for all the compliments. I follow my joy. And back to the YouTube channel, that was sort of a bit on the side, and I almost gave it up last year because
Oh, really? Well,
yeah,
how
yeah,
weird. I mean,
yeah,
not how weird. I'm so glad it didn't, but sometimes we have to
yeah.
disconnect so we can find the true connection again. Is that what happened
Yeah.
maybe? Mhm.
Yeah, there is a story there, and I'm going to share it live on YouTube tomorrow. And I'm dead
Awesome.
scared. I'm so nervous because I've never been, well, or I've been live on YouTube before, but
Mhm,
that's not my thing. Like you're
mhm,
doing here. I'm so amazed by you. I record my videos in
mhm.
advance. Somehow, YouTube going live is so scary to me, but I'm looking forward to it. There it is. I have a
Yeah.
secret to share.
She has a secret to share. Let's show up and hear the secret, y'all.
Yeah,
It's
it's
tomorrow
tomorrow.
at 8 a.m. Pacific. So then
Yeah,
that would be 8, 9, 10, 11 Eastern in the US. So good, good, good. Yeah, let's go.
yeah,
I wanna hear all about
yeah.
it. I'm not gonna spoil it for myself or for anyone else, but that's very exciting. So you almost gave it up, but that's what you're talking about, like and you have 100,000 subscribers now. That's
Yes,
amazing. Do you get, like, a
that's
plaque do you get a plaque from YouTube for that when you get 100,000, I think?
I hope.
I
I
think you
don't know.
do.
I'm so excited about it. Like I was up like watching the numbers, because you guys got to understand. Like I've had this YouTube channel since 2012.
Yeah,
So it's been a long, long time to
yeah.
hit 100,000. So I was like, okay, seeing the numbers go up, and then it was like 100,000 and nothing happened. Nothing happened. I was like, oh,
There was no parade or,
no,
Mr. YouTube didn't knock on your door with some kind of medal. Well,
no.
so tomorrow, that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna celebrate it. We're gonna hear the secret too.
Yes. Yeah. Because it is true that I almost gave it up last
Mhm.
year. And I had around 50,000 subscribers that I had
Wow.
gained in 11 years. And then I almost gave it up. And then, yeah, I'll talk about it tomorrow, but then it changes. And I, gain 50,000 in a
In
year.
1 year? That's amazing.
Yeah. And I think it's a testament to
Mhm.
being true to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to talk about it. I'm not going there to celebrate myself. I'm going there to share a gift. I'm going there to share something I think can help people and inspire people, because I know there's so many out there who are doubting themselves,
Mhm.
who have dreams. And if they could listen to those small hints that I'll share about tomorrow and say yes to that call, their life might just change dramatically. Like, I think it's so many times where we get an invitation
Mhm.
from the universe and we say no.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's where that that window was open.
Mhm. Yeah. And it's, ideas and opportunities, they get us. I sometimes have this vision of all of the souls, the network of souls and like the galactic consciousness there. And it's like, hey, the earth needs this. And this one soul is like, well, my person can do it. My person will do it. Okay. But they need help. So, okay, great. Then my person will help. And they're like passing around the things and they're going to send it down send it down the data stream for us. Because
Yeah.
well, there's things like the phenomenon of spontaneous or simultaneous invention, where
Yes.
like two scientists will have the same invention at the same time. And yeah, that's always been something we can actually witness too. So
I've
that's really
also
great.
heard that
Mhm.
you get the possibility, to go for that dream, but if
Mhm.
you're not going for it, then the dream is going to be created, or
Has to
the
be.
idea. So
Yeah.
it goes to another person
Yeah.
that is taking action on it.
Mhm.
Because if the universe has an idea that's going to become something, it needs to become something. So if
Yeah.
we say no, another person says yes. So you
Yeah.
might as well say yes.
And just to make sure we keep it on the up and up, the bright side of it, if you say no now, it's okay. We say no. That's a part of our journey too. But then there's always more opportunities. The universe has endless ideas and you are
Yes.
endlessly
Yeah.
available to, bring those through as well. So, yeah, but it's true.
That's
It's true.
true.
Mhm.
There's no judgment. And there's
Yeah.
like, if that was plan A, there's a plan B that sets into motion, and that's another experience. So there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong ever. It's just only different opportunities.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. There are other way just along this topic too. There are so many stories that I've heard about in, like in entertainment. For example, Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele is he's a filmmaker, Academy Award winning one now. He did the film Get Out. A lot of people are familiar with.
Mhm.
He's a comedian, and so he has or had a TV show, a sketch comedy show called Key and Peele with Keegan Michael Key and he's in himself. And then before that, ages before that, he was on a program, another sketch comedy show called Mad TV. And Mad TV was kind of like a competition to Saturday Night Live, but
Mm.
much, much smaller. And it's no longer in production. So he was in Mad TV. Mad TV actually went on hiatus, and I think they were probably going to cancel the show altogether. And in the meantime, he auditioned for Saturday Night Live right when Barack Obama was being elected, and he does an amazing Barack Obama impersonation. He got hired for Saturday Night Live. Well, Mad TV decided, you know what? We don't want to cancel the show after all. Your contract is still in effect. You can't go on SNL. You have to
Oh,
finish.
wow.
And it was like one season and the show went off the air. And it's like, you know what I
Oh.
mean? Like lost opportunity forever. But
Mm.
now fast forward, he's done all of this other stuff and he's an critically acclaimed film director,
Mm.
filmmaker, Academy Award winning. It all worked out.
Mm.
Even though he
Yes.
had that pretty bummer of a that's a pretty bummer
Yes.
opportunity that he lost to
Yes.
impersonate the president on Saturday Night Live, like, oh, it's everything. Nope, it's not everything. There's a lot more. There's no, like, that lack mentality. We think there's a limitation, but there's
Yeah.
not. Mhm.
Yeah, like I've heard the analogy that you can go around in the roundabouts many times, but
Mhm.
eventually you'll get kicked out, and your soul is like, now you follow your
Yeah.
purpose.
Yes, right. This time, dang it.
But it's like it's boring to be in that roundabout, right? So
Mhm.
it could happen faster, I think, if we say yes.
Yes, agreed.
Mm.
Debbie has a comment here that she's commenting on what you mentioned earlier, unlearning the programming we received as children and as young adults. Yes, absolutely. That's why I
Mm.
love getting older. Thank you, Debbie. I love getting older because I don't care about the saggy skin. That's a great trade-off for the wisdom that we are able to source and hold within
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is incredible how much programming we actually have,
Mhm.
but no wonder, because when you're a
Yeah.
child, everything is erased. Everything.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating to me that we're like a blank canvas, and then all this stuff, that we take in forms our reality, and then all of a sudden we're going to believe something else. It is like being an alien, and yeah, where it's like, this is how it works, and then you come to another planet and it works differently. So no wonder it is a process
Yeah.
to unlearn these things. And no
Yeah.
wonder it's hard to believe that I can just love myself,
Mm.
back to that. And even there are a lot of people who think that is selfishness, and
Mm.
that is so misunderstood,
Yeah.
because it's actually when we are egoistic and very self-centered, where it's all about us, that is
Yeah.
selfish. But
It's true.
self-love, if you love yourself, you accept others as well, you don't judge others as much.
Mm. Mhm.
So I think that's the understanding you get when you expand your consciousness.
Yes.
Mm.
Wonderful. Well, Jannecke, this has been amazing. So, what an inspired teacher you are. So
Oh,
authentic, so heart-based, and as you mentioned, courage. Courage. The root word for courage is cor, like heart. It's heart in the Latin, and I
mm.
witness you. moving from your heart and allowing blessings to come through you to bless so many people. And you are truly a way shower on this mission that you are on, and really raising the vibration and helping people in so many ways. So a deep and genuine heartfelt thank you for all the work that you're doing on our beautiful world. You're the best. You're just the
Oh.
best.
Thank you, Tricia. Thank you.
Mm,
You're so
mm,
sweet. And I
mm.
just love interviewing you. And
Oh,
I
thank
just
you.
got to say that guys, check out or stay tuned, it's called,
Mm,
for my interview with Tricia, because you're sharing some amazing things there. We go really deep, we go
yeah,
really metaphysical
yeah,
and multidimensional.
yeah,
It's coming in a few weeks on Wisdom from North. We had a blast. So stay
yeah.
tuned for that, guys. And thank you so much for being here and listening to us. I hope it was helpful and inspiring.
And remember to, well, go to Wisdom from North, the YouTube channel, of course, the website as well, and join her membership. And but tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. You're like, don't make the invitation. I'm scared. No, it's wonderful. Let's go and find out Jannecke's secret. She's going to be live on her channel, and sharing some really great wisdom, even you know as she shared today. So we'll make sure to catch that.
Hopefully. Thank you, Tricia. Thank you
Thank
so much.
My pleasure, everyone. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Jannecke, and thank you to everyone who was here live. Those of you who are listening on the podcast, you can listen to this when are doing it live, and then you can go back and listen to it because there was so much wisdom that Jannecke shared. You can find it on the actual podcast. You can get it any way that you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, and all of that. And before I sign off, I just wanted to mention that Astral Mastery, which is the ultimate intuitive expansion program, is still available to you as a course. We're opening the full coaching option of that about every 60 days. I haven't announced the next date for that yet, but right now you can join. And so you go to my website, you can see it under the courses that I'm offering. It's amazing. We have people having powerful transformations and moving through things, shattering old patterns and limiting beliefs, and being able to have these really advanced experiences with lucid dreaming and self-initiated astral projection. But we're opening our intuition and our intuitive abilities in amazing ways, wherever you are on your journey. It's a wonderful invitation. And so that is what I have for you in this episode. And another big thank you to Jannecke from Wisdom from North for being on the show today. And to all of you who have tuned in, wherever you on the timeline tuning in, thank you. Thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.